They trained, they fought, they bled for their country. And now they're being told to leave 30 days to walk away or be thrown out. This isn't just a policy shift. It's a purge. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth makes it crystal clear trans is out of the DoD. The fallout is instant. Outrage erupts. Veterans, lawmakers, and rights groups are calling it national disgrace. I ask this about readiness or raw politics, inclusion or ideology. As part of broader policy change, reinstating the Trump administration's ban on transgender service members. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on May 8 announced that active duty transgender troops will be given 30 days to voluntarily separate from the military before being forcibly discharged from duty. Hegseth's statement followed a recent Supreme Court ruling that cleared the way for the Pentagon to enforce President Donald Trump's executive order, which was issued on January 27. The order directs the military to discharge individuals who identify as transgender. Taken to Twitter, Hegseth wrote after a Supreme Court of the United States victory for the President of the United States, trans is out at the Department of Defense. In a video message, Hegseth outlined the steps in implementing the executive order, stating that the Pentagon would relentlessly pursue the President's agenda, especially on readiness. The Defense Secretary explained that service members diagnosed with or exhibiting symptoms of gender dysphoria would be allowed to voluntarily leave the military within 30 days if they are active duty personnel, or within 60 days if they are part of the reserves. For those who would refuse to separate voluntarily, the Pentagon will proceed with involuntary discharges. According to guidance issued by the Defense Department, he put out an executive order a week into his presidency, stating the prioritizing military excellence and readiness, that expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service. We agree, and so we implemented that policy. It was challenged in court, and of course, we appealed. And 2 days ago at the Supreme Court, our policy was upheld. And so we're going to continue to advance that policy here at the Defense Department. So in accordance with policy now reinstated, service members who have a current diagnosis or history of or exhibit symptoms consistent with gender dysphoria may elect to separate voluntarily. There's a timeline here, and then eventually involuntarily, if necessary. According to Pentagon officials, approximately 1,000 active duty service members out of the 1.3 million active duty personnel are estimated to have self-identified as transgendered as per reports. These service members will be given the specified period to leave voluntarily, after which involuntary separations will begin. Hegseth affirmed here at the Defense Department, "We continue to relentlessly pursue the President's agenda." This is what the American people voted for, and we're going to continue to relentlessly pursue as the U.S. Supreme Court permitted the Trump administration to proceed with enforcing its controversial ban on transgender individuals serving in the military. The decision has drawn strong criticism from civil rights organizations, lawmakers, and activists voicing fierce opposition. U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth condemned the transgender military ban as absolutely shameful and argued that it disrespects brave service members. Absolutely shameful. Trump's trans military service ban hurts our military readiness, makes our military's recruitment challenges even worse, and disrespects Americans who are brave enough to serve in uniform. This ruling from the far-right Trump-appointed Supreme Court majority will make our military less lethal and Americans less safe. It just empowered Donald Trump to fire a service member who flew more than 60 combat missions, including in Iraq and Afghanistan. Echoing similar sentiments, Lambda Legal and the Human Rights Campaign Foundation said the move is a devastating blow to transgender service members and that the ban has nothing to do with military readiness, but everything to do with prejudice by allowing this discriminatory ban to take effect while our challenge continues. The court has temporarily sanctioned a policy that has nothing to do with military readiness and everything to do with prejudice. Transgender individuals meet the same standards and demonstrate the same values as all who serve. We remain steadfast in our belief that this ban violates constitutional guarantees of equal protection and will ultimately be struck down. Besides, Jennifer Levi, senior director at LGBTQ legal group GLAAD, called the ruling shameful and condemned the military's rapid enforcement. It is just shameful. It is senseless to fast-track people out of the military who are meeting standards and putting lives on the line to defend the country. The haste with which the military is moving reflects a callous disregard for the brave troops who have put their lives on the line for this country. It is a disgrace. Since returning to office, President Donald Trump has aggressively moved to reverse diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DTI policies across the federal government. At the heart of this campaign is a renewed and far-reaching effort to ban transgender individuals from serving in the armed forces. In early 2025, Trump signed an executive order aimed at eliminating all DTI initiatives within the U.S. military, including the Coast Guard. The administration argued that such programs undermine merit, discourage effective leadership, and promote division by placing emphasis on race, gender, and identity politics. Among the most controversial reversals was the rescinding of Joe Biden's 2021 directive that had permitted transgender individuals to openly serve. In its place, the Trump administration introduced a series of executive actions and Pentagon directives classifying transgender identity as incompatible with military service. The new policy redefines gender dysphoria as a disqualifying medical condition under Hegseth leadership. The Pentagon has begun forcefully enforcing the policy, but the crackdown is not limited to service members alone. As part of this broader campaign against DTI and LGBTQ initiatives, several high-ranking military officials have also been dismissed. Part of what the administration has described as a purge of woke leadership from the armed forces. Those removed from their positions include General C.Q. Brown, Junior Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, Chief of Naval Operations General James Life, Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force Navy, Vice Admiral Shoshana Chatfield, U.S. Military Representative to NATO dismissed for loss of confidence in leadership, Admiral Linda Fagan, Commandant of the Coast Guard, Lieutenant General Joseph B. Berger, the third Judge Advocate General of the Army, Lieutenant General Charles Plummer, Judge Advocate General of the Air Force, Lieutenant General Jennifer Short, Senior Military Assistant to the Secretary of Defense, General Timothy Hoff, Director of the National Security Agency and Head of U.S. Cyber Command. The shake-up, hands down, reflects the administration's intent to reshape military leadership in alignment with its ideological goals, raising concerns over the gender dimensions of the purge. Reports say of the 9 senior officers removed, 4 were high-ranking female officials, with the June 6 deadline fast approaching. The impact of these policies continues to ripple across the armed forces, deepening an ideological divide over who gets to serve and on what terms.